welcome to today's Wellness Watch session. Today's session comes from Season 1 of Wellness Watch, which was originally recorded on Learn It Live, our live learning platform. If you have any questions at all, just put them down in the comments below, and be sure to also subscribe for more herbal medicine, health, and wellness related content from the Dancing Herbalist. I hope you enjoyed today's session on encouraging digestion.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Wellness Watch. For those of you who don't know me yet, my name is Jillian Karnrick, and I'm joined here by Annabelle. How are you doing, Annabelle?
Good morning.
So this week we're going to be talking about encouraging digestion. Again, my name is Jillian Karnrick. I run the Dancing Herbalist. I have a Master of Science degree in herbal medicine. I'm also a nutritionist, personal trainer through the American College of Sports Medicine, and exercise medicine professional through ACSM as well. Through the Dancing Herbalist, my primary focus is on topical herbal products for joint and muscle pain and skin healing. But I do also focus on wellness practices, and that's a lot of what we talk about here in Wellness Watch. I mean, it makes sense, right? And if you're looking for any additional support from either Annabelle or myself after these sessions, you can feel free to send the Dancing Herbalist an email, and we will get you all set up with a consultation.
Sounds great. So again, my name's Annabelle, and I'm the author of Conscious Canary Chronicles. It's a blog that I run that focuses on toxicity issues and my own personal journey through pharmaceutical injury. And I'm a plant-based food explorer, an avid raw food eater, and home herbalist and health advocate.
So if you're looking for more things from the Dancing Herbalist, there's a lot of great free options out there. We do have our newsletter that you can sign up for at thedancingherbalist.com. And if you have found this class, you now know where our Learn It Live is. And we have a variety of free and paid classes here on Learn It Live, everything from herbal medicine and materia medica, nutrition, physiology, and plant identification as well. If you're interested in any of the topical products that the Dancing Herbalist manufactures, those can be purchased at thedancingherbalist.com. If you do have any questions after these sessions that are just quick and simple, just general questions, you can join our Facebook group, the Dancing Herbalist Herbies. And this is really the quickest way to get in touch with us is right through that Facebook group. Usually one of the herbalists in that group will respond within a few hours. Versus email may take up to a day or so. So this week, again, we're going to be talking about encouraging digestion. Next week, we'll be looking at digestive inflammation, talk a little bit about, oh goodness, the words just escaped me. What's it when all your digestion's inflamed? Leaky gut syndrome. We'll talk a little bit about leaky gut. That also can lead to digestive inflammation. So dysbiosis is an upset in the bacteria of your digestive system. So that can definitely lead to digestive inflammation. And then the last of our sessions for Season 1 of Wellness Watch is going to be on June 12th, and we're going to be talking about eating on the go. So just before we have a break for a little while, we'll talk a little bit about eating while you're traveling or you don't have a lot of time on your hands, and ways you can still eat healthy and ways that's still going to be nice for your body. So, Annabelle, we went on a trip yesterday. Was that yesterday? 2 days ago?
Yes.
And we had some delicious food that day.
Yes, we did.
And you were unable to get one of the things ahead of time that you needed for your own digestion.
Yes, we did not get digestive enzymes, which early on in my recovery journey, I needed digestive enzymes to eat anything.
Can you talk a little bit about what digestive enzymes are?
Digestive enzymes, so these, how do I say it? So I used pancreatic digestive enzymes, which help the pancreas, liver, and gallbladder be able to digest food. So before that, I would have, here, we're already going to start with poop. Before that, I, was not digesting food, so I would have whole food in my stool.
Mm-hmm.
And so the digestive enzymes is actually something that our body naturally does on its own.
Or should naturally do on its own.
Right. But, you know, my body stopped doing it on its own, so I required a supplementation in order to be able to digest food. And over time in the journey, I had gotten to the point where I had tapered almost all the way off of them. And then this last couple of days, whenever we went and had our picnic in the park, was the true test of if I was able to eat food without digestive enzymes.
And you did pretty well.
I did pretty well.
Yeah.
It'll take a little bit of time for, you know, the pancreas and stuff to kind of remember itself, is what I call it. But, you know, digestive enzymes are something that can really be beneficial on a short-term basis.
Yeah, and definitely on a short-term basis. The main time that I have used digestive enzymes has been when I've had a very fatty meal.
Right.
And if you've ever had, I mean, it's probably been a while since you have, Annabelle, but like when you get like a really oily, like Chinese food or something, it's really heavy. And after you eat it, your body feels really heavy and down. When you have the digestive enzymes, which usually you take like right before you eat, you're able to digest those fats a lot better, and then you don't have that same kind of heaviness.
Right.
Now, we shouldn't be having all that crazy, ridiculous oil anyway, but like every so often, yeah, and that's then you have the digestive enzymes. And there are herbs like bitter herbs that are also a great option in the same fashion.
That's what I do primarily these
Is
days.
bitters, yeah. Now, there's only one real issue that I know about with digestive enzymes, because they're kind of like they should be used kind of like in case of emergency, but because they're really compensating for what your body is unable to do.
And your body's not able to do something for a reason, which is
Exactly
what really needs your attention.
Exactly. So it's very easy if someone has normal or better digestion and they start taking digestive enzymes, the body can actually reduce its own production of digestive enzymes, and one can become addicted, so to say, to digestive enzymes. And so you're
reliant.
Yes. Well, basically symptoms come up when you stop taking them.
Exactly.
And it's really surprising to me that you have had success in the opposite direction with digestive enzymes, because the average person does not have that.
I was on them for several years.
Yeah. And I think it's mostly because you've done such a good job of using other means as well to stimulate your body to digest on its own, like the bitters.
Right.
We've had whole sessions on bitter herbs, and we're going to talk about them more today. But are there any other things that you've been doing other than the bitters to really compensate?
Yeah, there's an amazing amount that I've learned to help with my body being able to digest food. Digestion is just the first of what I call the four corners, or the four, areas of health, which begins with digestion. Then we talk about absorption. Then we talk about utilizing the nutrients that we absorb. And then we talk about eliminating waste. So digestion really is, since it's the very first thing out of the gate that we need in order to maintain vital, good, and wellness in our body, it really is the most important. So I had to spend a lot of time experimenting and learning some new methods. The bitters is a wonderful method. I generally make a bitters tea that I drink 20 minutes or 30 minutes before I eat. And this also helps me go a little bit longer between meals too, by having some tea in there. But one of the biggest things I think that helped me was food combinations.
For encouraging digestion?
Yes. So for instance, eating starches and proteins together, they both digest at different rates. And so what I started doing was simplifying my meals, giving my body less to digest, and not combining things that digest at different rates of speed inside of the system. So, fruits digest in 30 minutes to an hour.
Now, when you're saying digest, are you referring to going through the stomach and entering the intestines?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So the beginning, the first half of digestion.
And see, I would always get stuck there because I would get a lot of fermentation because of the foods I was combining together. So I no longer eat cooked foods with raw foods. I no longer eat proteins with fruits, and so simplifying it really was what started helping me. But my condition was much more extreme.
You're unique. Not everyone needs to do that.
Right.
Actually, the average person does not need to do that.
It certainly couldn't hurt someone to do it.
Exactly. Assuming they're getting all the nutrients throughout the day that they need.
Right. So, and one thing that really helped me also was eating my really heavy meal at night. And then that way I would go to sleep and my body would have lots of time to do all of its beautiful digestion, absorption, utilization work. And then I could eliminate in the morning. And as I started doing that, my system became just, the digestion became less of an issue because I used to be in extreme pain anytime I ate. So, and of course, like I said, you can look at your stool and you can see how your digestion is going, as we like to talk about poop all the time. But it is a nice indicator. So I think simplifying things really, but I think in the season of spring and summer, it's nice to just have simple, cool foods.
Yeah, and I think we tend to do that. I mean, like you can think of people easily have an entire meal of watermelon.
Right.
Another one that I think a lot of people will do is corn, but there's pluses and negatives to having a mono meal of corn.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, a few years ago, I had never come across this until then, the concept of eating corn raw.
I know, right? And it's delicious.
I know, it's really delicious. I was like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
Had no clue that was something you could do. And do you have any concept of if it digests better, cooked or raw, corn in particular?
I will say that in my experience, even though some foods after cooked seem to increase in nutrition, some of them.
I don't know that I would say they increase in nutrition. I say they increase in availability of nutrition.
Right. But
your body can get it from the food better.
I really, in my experience, feel that raw food is much easier to digest in the system than cooked food. That's just something that I didn't actually realize. I never really imagined I would be someone who ate almost primarily raw. Never, ever thought that would be. But I have noticed as I've done that it makes a world of difference. And that things that I had a hard time with digesting, like corn, when I would eat cooked corn, it would be a lot more difficult. But raw corn seemed fine. I didn't really have any issue. I would rinse it very well and soak it still. Try and get some of that starchiness a little bit.
There's a lot of starchiness in it.
Yeah. And that's another thing I think that is overlooked in regard to digestion is how we process and prepare our food and how it can affect our digestion. So rinsing and soaking the corn, or when I did eat other grains or nuts or seeds, soaking them and things of that nature definitely helped my digestion. And you do that too.
Only recently, because of you mostly. A few things I started to soak a while back. And I think because mostly they were recipes that were based off raw recipes. But I have found that there's some real value to soaking some foods beforehand. What I soak most commonly is cashews.
Right.
But I really like soaking them in the lemon juice. I think that's a different kind of flavor. And I think because cashews are so It's almost like starting to sprout the cashews,
Right.
but the lemon juice there kind of also starts to break them down as well.
Right.
So it's kind of a combination of getting the cashews more easy to eat, but I also like the taste combination of the cashews and lemon. For those people who don't know, I mean, I know you know that cashews and lemon is kind of the like vegan cheese combination.
Yeah, and when you made it for the picnic, oh my
So good.
gosh, those cucumber sandwiches were amazing. Amazing. Yeah, that's I think that's a big deal how we prepare our food. Whenever it comes to soaking and sprouting, I feel that it helps with digestion just in general. I really actually feel that it's more geared toward utilization though, and absorption, because
definitely the absorption. That's where I think it is. I think it basically is starting to break our food down,
right,
so that our digestion doesn't need to work as hard,
right,
and especially with plants. So plants in general, our body can't digest very well. So surprisingly, we are very, like, we have become the Wellness Watch. We've become very raw vegan discussion because there's so many people talking about meats out there. We don't need to do that.
right.
We could let them
covered.
Yeah. I mean, we're not saying don't eat meat. We're saying there's many other options as well to add, to be more creative with the food options.
But I think people struggle more with eating vegetables.
They
and
do.
Fruits.
They do. I agree. And I think that's why it's important that we continue to talk about them. And with sprouting or soaking foods, regardless of how long you're doing it, you're going to be encouraging them to break down. And the problem, as I was getting to with plant cells, is that there's two walls. There's the regular wall that animal cells also have, but then there's also a more hardy wall that just plant cells have. And when you're soaking them, the water that you're soaking them in will rush into the individual cells and start to burst those cells open, basically because of the influx of water into the cells. There's some chemistry stuff involved in how that happens, but it's not important. But basically, by soaking them, you're starting to break all the cells down so you can actually get the nutrients out of them. And that's the kind of thing that doesn't happen in our digestion.
Right.
It doesn't happen in our bodies because as soon as the food goes into our mouth, it's in an acidic environment. It's not in a water environment that the water is going to be going into those cells. So we can't break those cells down as well. We can't get as many nutrients out of our food.
That's why a lot of people juice.
Yes, and juicing itself, while it helps break the cell walls down, it's not as good as soaking.
Right. And soaking also takes off or reduces greatly the level of phytic acid.
Yes, and particularly the way I always talk about is with beans.
Yes.
Because so many people don't like beans and are scared of beans because of the gases in them. And when you do soak them, that breakdown, the bursting of the cells starts to happen. And if you're soaking your beans and rinsing them every 8 hours or so, there comes a time where you go to do that at the 8-hour mark and there's like a layer of bubbles on the top of the water. And that's not like a mold or anything. That's the phytic acids coming out of the beans. That's the gases that we don't want coming out of the beans. So that itself is getting rid of one of the things we don't want in our digestion through soaking as well. And a lot of people talk about when things are soaked that they feel more alive, more vital,
hydrated.
And yeah, I mean, we're always dehydrated. We're a very dehydrated culture.
Yes, very.
And so I think that's a great other thing is you get just a little bit more water and diet.
That is to me, a very big role for starting off with digestion. I mean, also when we talk about phytic acid, it's important to mention, in my opinion, that phytic acid has a block, so to speak, on it from your body being able to uptake nutrition on a trace mineral level. So being able to get the calcium, so to speak, from something that you're eating, if it has phytic acid in it, the phytic acid is like a shield. It's a shield. It's a natural part of a plant's protection. And it is not meant for our bodies to digest. So we have to help ourselves. I love that it's encouraging digestion, because that's what we have to do.
Yeah. Beans have evolved to give us gas, so we don't eat them as much.
Yes. But amazingly, when you soak them properly and such, you don't really have as bad of issues.
Yeah.
So, so you can go on a date, or make your date a nice meal at home that has beans in it, and not be too terribly nervous about what will transpire through the rest of the evening. But I think, really processing our food is a part of digestion that a lot of people don't really even think. I mean, they think it's the food when it goes into the body, and that's digestion. But digestion and encouraging it starts way before we put food in our mouth. And one thing that I really think that has changed for me is my attitude, so to speak, toward food. When I'm preparing food now, I am encouraging digestion by smelling and, getting the amylase, the juices flowing.
In our saliva.
Right. Getting the saliva going, getting ready to eat. Whereas before, and we'll be talking about that on eating on the go, I would be in a hurry. I'm making my food real fast. I'm eating it real fast, and I'm missing the first part of digestion, which is the saliva production.
Yeah, I mean, our digestion really starts with seeing and smelling the food. I was really going to say hearing the food, but that's a different issue. That's on the other end,
right?
But when you're seeing the food, it has to make you feel good inside. So when your food looks nice to you, when it's bright and colorful and that sort of thing, and then the smelling of the food and getting the thought process going, getting the saliva flowing, and then even starting to taste the food.
Right.
Because tasting your food is going to get the secretions really started in your stomach, from your pancreas, from your liver, and all these areas.
Yeah, they're going to wake up and be like, oh, it's time to eat,
Yep.
So, yeah, I think, it's quite interesting that when we were talking earlier about digestive enzymes, and when I first realized that I really needed to be off of them, then I was thinking, oh, well, what can you possibly do? But really, there are so many things we can do.
You just got to do them all.
You just got to do them all. And, I realize by my experience that paying attention to what you're eating is not really it's not really something that we do conscientiously in this culture. There's always talk about diets and you should eat this and not this and what have you. So there's a lot of information out there, but I don't feel like there's a lot of conscientious mindfulness to eating.
I think you and I have put a lot of energy into that with our own digestion. And I know definitely for me, it started through journaling and paying attention to what I was eating and how my body felt with different things. And even now, I definitely don't eat the best food, but I know how my body's going to feel before and after, and I can make those choices. And really, I know for me, the focus on supporting my liver has really been my main need for keeping my digestion working well. And so there's two different things that that I focus on with my liver, and that's making sure bile is being stimulated, bile flow is being stimulated, so I can break down fats more effectively once they're entering my intestines. But also making sure that when my nutrients have been absorbed, because there's what's called first pass metabolism, and that is when all of the nutrients that have been absorbed into our bloodstream then goes to the liver to be processed by the liver. And if the liver can't process it correctly, then you're not going to be able to utilize those nutrients at all. Exactly. It's that next step in your process there, Annabelle. And so there's these two different pieces of digestion that the liver is working on. And if the liver is not working well, you're not going to be able to get all of the nutrients. Even if you're eating them, even if you've broken them down well before you're starting to eat them, even if you're absorbing them, you're not going to be able to utilize them unless the liver is functioning well.
Right. Absolutely. And, one of the other areas of focus that I've really started paying a lot more attention to was my pancreas. Because, I have the lipid, I've always had the liver and gallbladder in my scope of vision because of processing lipids and fats or fats. But I, for a long time, sort of left the pancreas out. And when I started eating a high fruit diet, I started realizing that, the pancreas is also a part of this, a part of this whole makeup here. And so the pancreas is what digests or what processes our sugars.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people that have blood sugar issues, whether hyperglycemic or hypoglycemic, what have you, really focusing on that pancreatic function is so important. So, I feel like whenever we are making good decisions, that our bodies kind of just know what to do on their own.
Yeah.
But for me, the lack of paying attention to what I was eating was extremely detrimental. And even when I started paying attention to what I was eating, how you were saying, doing a journal and things of that nature, I still didn't understand that I could eat all of the healthy food on the face of the planet, but if I could not properly digest it, it didn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I think I know a lot of people are really busy and they're like, I don't have time to sit around and focus on digestion and, plan a menu and things of that nature. But it's really actually not that hard.
No, once you get going, it's pretty easy. And what I tell people in that kind of area, it's you either make the time or that time has gone to making money and then you pay the money. And once you get started and get going on it, it will all fall into line as long as it's important to you and you're committed to it.
Right.
And so you either take the time or take the money and you get started. And if you don't have the money and you do have the time, it 100% is doable.
It is. It really is. And it's really not complicated. And if you don't take time to focus on your wellness, your body will make you take time because it will focus on its illness.
Yeah.
It's just all there is to it,
And it's really easy to see to not see a way out when you get to that point of illness and feel as though you have to keep going down the same track rather than just being like, oh, I have all of these pills that I'm taking. I could just fix this with nutrition.
Yes.
Now, not everything can be fixed with nutrition alone sometimes.
I'd like to apologize for the inconvenience. Unfortunately, our recording stopped working at this point in our discussion. If you do want to check out more information on the Dancing Herbalist Wellness Watch, be sure to look out for our upcoming videos for Season 2, which will be starting in just under a month. We hope you will also check out our other information on our website at thedancingherbalist.com. We hope you all have a great day, and again, sorry for the inconvenience.